What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the LCS Lock-In Tournament. We're diving into our next matchup at C9 versus 100 Thieves, a battle for first place. And while the teams don't enter with identical undefeated score lines, it is still an all-important matchup that will determine first place in the group.
Yeah, we got to see the best go up against each other in Group B, and now this time around you get to see that. Unexpected losses we already talked about at the very beginning of the day with 100 Thieves, but I have, you know what? I had high hopes. I had high hopes.
Had high hopes, and now
I have high hopes.
Are they
I'm now second-guessing myself after losing the last predictions.
Oh.
So it's a little rough over here.
Well, we got fragile ego Raz over here. How are you doing, Spawn?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I really love watching teams like this play against each other because I think we are going to see a little bit of a similar style coming across. Both teams rely very heavily on their jungler. I personally think that Closer was in great form towards the end of last year. Blabber had a little bit of a slump, but Blabber now picking it back up is looking to be that jungler to be able to take it to the next level.
You talk about a little bit of a slump for Blabber. I know Raz, not a very big fan.
Where did that come from?
What do you mean, where did it come from? That's what you've been espousing
In your head?
that crap all day.
You're crazy.
Let's talk
Raz
about...
goes home, he has the Blabbers Crabbers t-shirt on, you know?
What is this?
Let's talk about Blabber, though, just as a player, because there was that small downtick. But in reality, this is a guy who's still been at the top of the league 98% of his career.
So I think, I would argue that a lot of his expectations, right? Everyone just sees the crab fights from MSI in their mind and just pastes that over, whatever Blabber is doing. I think Blabber is still an excellent jungler in the LCS. And additionally, I think the thing with Blabber is that he will force plays if he feels like he has to. So if he feels like he's in a position where he's going to have to force a play, he will. And what happened on C9 last year a lot of the time was I felt like the top side of the map with Fudge and then the rest of the team, especially mid with Perks, didn't really seem to coordinate on what they wanted to do. And Blabber seemed really torn between those two things. Right now, he seems to be working really well with Fudge thus far.
And the reason I love Blabber, it just depends what kind of jungler you like. Back when Dandy and Insect were both junglers in the LCK, you're either a Dandy fan or you're an Insect fan. Did you want to get every camp on the map? Did you want to have perfect vision score? Or did you want to play Zac and just jump under turrets? And I think that Blabber has really revolutionized that style of jungling in the LCS. And he will always be as good as his team in that regard, because when you go for these high-risk plays, if your team is playing well, more often than not, they work out.
Yeah, and this is a good challenge for Blabber just because with Closer, he's been with the same team for quite some time. If you even want to span back to being on Golden Guardians, he's been with he's been with FBI. So, he has, a good amount of familiarity. Hasn't been that's not the case with Blabber. Now, it's a new team. And it's not even going to be the final form of that team because, once the players come in from Korea, then he's going to really reintegrate with them. But just based off the sets you've been seeing, really integrating well with Fudge, mid lane. I know, being able to speak with Fudge and work with him all last year on the top lane is completely different working with the mid lane, but throughout the offseason, they have been playing together. And it's very visible with how the stats have been showcasing it.
And for me, it's just kind of cool to always bring back in the mid laner to the jungle conversation, particularly this year because of almost the stark contrast you have between the roles. We already talked a little bit about the flatness of mid lane this year and how there's just a lot of room, I think, for certain players to make names for themselves individually. Whereas in the jungle position, you've got plenty of stars. You've got a lot of stacked people in that position in the LCS. And so then when you bring those two roles together and you ask these duos to define themselves in the LCS, it's a whole nother animal.
Yeah, especially with how Champions League currently works. You have a lot of champions like Victor, Corki that need their jungler for vision and the ability to scale. Then you have a lot of things like TF Rise that need your jungler to be able to go proactive against these kind of picks. And what we saw from Fudge so far is that he is very heavily leaning on that scaling side of things at times. I think that when you are newly swapping to a lane, you're going to have a small effective champion pool because you would practice it a lot. And I would like to see Fudge continue to do that and continue to lean on, his support, his jungler to be able to unlock the map for him.
And one thing that Fudge, I know he talked about this in an interview previously, but to your point about draft, one thing that this does give C9 once they get more comfortable with Blabber and Fudge is that we've already seen Fudge play mid lane Jace, for example, right? Which isn't something that's totally out of the ordinary, but they can flex based on matchup if they want to.
Oh, I would love to start seeing some lane swaps come through later in the year. We'll have to see if it happens. The teams are ready, so I hope the casters are ready. Pastry, Jat, take it away.
Handshake.
Oh, I'm ready, Raz. Whatever you had to say at the end there. This is going to be quite the game here. Unfortunately, 100 Thieves aren't also undefeated like Cloud9, but hey, this is a marquee matchup kind of any day of the week.
Yeah, and has been mentioned before, but the winner of this game wins the group.
Woo!
Because even though there was a game dropped by 100 Thieves, if they become 3-1 and Cloud9 is 3-1, 100 Thieves would then own the head-to-head tiebreaker. The, quote, disaster scenario, though, for 100 Thieves is if they lose, because then there's a chance they could still pick up the 3 seed in the group, which when you get into the crossplay, which will literally happen tomorrow and the next day, they'll be playing one of the top 2 teams from the other group, which is looking like either EG or TL. And that's just like too early in the tournament to be facing that team in your head. So very, very important game. I think more so for 100 Thieves than for C9.
Yep, we'll see how it goes though as the draft is kicked off. Caitlyn getting banned, Twisted Fate, get him in the bin alongside Xin Zhao and Diana, who have been pretty popular junglers as it turns out. Nice to see them both banned here. So Blabber going to lose a touch of power here.
Yeah, Palafox had a really nice game on Twisted Fate in our first game of the day. None of that nonsense in this one. But a question will be, what is the Corki priority? Because as we mentioned at the start of the day,
very high.
Last week, a lot of mid laners were falling to 4-5. This week, I think kind of across the regions I've been watching, it's going way sooner. Corki first pick was in our first match of the day. Could see it again with that Twisted Fate ban.
It's a quick pitch to the analyst desk out there listening, and actually to you, chat. If anyone wants to do a Corki Weatherman segment, I'm here for it, because it's raining Corkis at this point there, and it's going to be doing it again.
What is the pitch for that? Like you just point to the screen, this Corki, and you're like, looks like Corki.
Corki here, Corki here.
Back
Corki
to you guys.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good way to do it here. Is Corki there for Avadaga in mid lane.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so, I mean, every team is going to be different. Last game, we saw Xin Jinx on 1-2. Xin Zhao was gone, though, so the power pick jungler isn't necessarily there as strong. And we also know, or at least we're hoping, that C9 plays a slightly different meta than just whatever is internal to North America, especially when they have actually a whole team scrimming in Korea right now with many of their intended LCS starters and LS. And yeah, I would say picking Jhin with only Caitlyn banned from AD carry is definitely not normal in North America, but I don't necessarily think it's bad.
Maybe he misclicked. You know, the other champion we see also starts with J. No, it is, of course, going to be Jhin here for Sven. Looks like Lee Sin lined up here for Blabber, although it could change around. This does give closer the infamous Viego, but I think Blabber knows it's coming. He's okay with that matchup.
Yeah, Viego could definitely work into Twisted Fate, into Lee Sin, but there are still a lot of options. A lot of times, like traditional 100 Thieves would do, like Thresh is open, right? Jinx is open. You would see the Jinx Thresh, see if they go in that direction.
Ooh.
That's something completely different.
Yeah.
Actually. That's a very early Gwen pick. It actually gets locked in.
Yeah, I mean, somebody looks incredible on Gwen. In fact, we've had a number of just complete runaway games with Gwen in the top lane from a few different players. So, I mean, I don't mind the pick here at all. I think Gwen's very powerful, but certainly hasn't been the focus of a lot of the way, you know, teams have been building their drafts, at least after week 1. So J4 here as well for closer. More in line with the, you know, get stuff done junglers. Not that Viego can't get stuff done, but another very popular jungler these days.
I think it's pretty necessary to actually pick specifically Jarvan right there because of who their solo lane picks are already. And even though this gives C9 the ability to take some shots with their 4-5 bans towards FBI and Huhi, it at least allows them to pick their bot lane in a pair. So they can usually get something pretty good.
I'm rubbing my hands together. You can't see it on camera, but I'm excited for potential Fudge LeBlanc. Ah, he's back to the scaling.
No, the block is just not. We'll see if there's consistency in the C9 style, but it is not what I expect the C9 style to be. If you put LeBlanc into Corki, Corki will build Hex Drinker, neutralize the matchup, and outscale, which is, as far as I know, never the position Fudge or C9 want to be in. So they'll do their best to match scaling, throw Victor into it, and win the game elsewhere.
You gonna see Jinx Aphelios banned here by Cloud9? I forgot that 100 Thieves picked Gwen and this J4 so early that AD carries can actually be snapped off here by Cloud9 for phase 2 of bans. So Jace banned on the other side, still respecting Darshan's, you know, pool of champions being very wide as well. He's already shown a lot this tournament so far, been a great player to watch.
Yeah, there's also like the weird world where they would throw Victor top and then match the Corki with Jace because they've matched Corki with Jace last week. So just I think mostly a throwaway ban. I don't think they would move the Victor top, but that's what 100 Thieves was thinking was possible.
Yep, could also swap. I guess you'd have to have Vic swap in that case. So never mind. Thresh banned as well. So
Yeah.
FBI and Huhi losing a lot of power picks here in the bottom lane and have to show something a little different. Aphelios still going to be up if they want that though. So
Yep.
they'll put something together, but it won't be kind of the premier, duo lane that we've seen so much of.
Yeah, if they didn't have so much magic damage already on 100 Thieves, I would actually like to see them... never mind. I was going to say Kai'Sa, but they don't have enough things to combo Kai'Sa off of to fly in. They don't have enough CC elsewhere in the comp. So yeah, I think it'll be an Aphelios lane.
To new event. Again, showing respect to Darshan's carry pool as Cloud9 going to show us pick number 4 here. I imagine Isles is going to get a support here. Seems good to continue blocking picks from that lane because 100 Thieves are actually giving counterpick as much as they can to their duo lane here.
Absolutely. I can still see the support coming in on 5 if they wanted to, but there's an ability to just match the top laner right here, and then for sure they get support counterpick, which in the past I think had a lot more value. There's definitely been metas where support counterpick could really just decide the lane.
Yep.
I don't think we're there right now, and the Aphelios Leona should be just pretty powerful generally for 100 Thieves.
Yep, I think they're particularly unafraid. It's funny that you mentioned that though. I actually do this manually at some point last year, but Core JJ, that guy kind of picks support a lot in that particular meta. So
Yeah.
definitely something that was more of a thing. I think I agree with you though. Less of a concern right now. FBI and Hui more than happy here, and just we'll see what Isles wants to line up in the 2v2 with.
Yeah, in terms of like the ability to try a counter pick, C9 technically got that in all 3 lanes in some shape or form, right? So they blind picked the jungle and the AD carry, which are the 2 least, I guess, like formative things in terms of counter picks go. That allowed them to counter pick the Victor for the mid lane on 3, they counter pick the top lane on 4, and they counter pick the bot lane with support on 5. Once again, like I don't necessarily think Victor is a counter pick to Corki, but positionally they had the opportunity to counter pick in every single spot, which I think is kind of neat.
Yeah, Rakan also, for everyone playing at home, not a counter pick into Leona. In fact, you often see it flip the other way, but
It's a fingers matchup.
yeah,
so they say.
exactly. You're picking Rakan for other stuff, So Poom do very well on the pick last time. I think as supports often happen. Perhaps not as much spotlight as could have been shone on Poom and Contract setting up so well for his team, but they're gone. We've got 100 Thieves and Cloud9 here in this game. We'll see what Isles and Sven can do in their 2v2. And a very fun one to kick things off. I'm really looking at Sunday's Gwen, actually, because he already had a great Gwen game, and I'm just curious, is the priority worth it, 100 Thieves? Because so much of the texture of this draft changed because of how much priority they wanted to give their top laner.
Yeah, it's an interesting move because I still firmly believe that 100 Thieves works best when they are playing through FBI and Huhi's pressure, when Closer is pathing towards bottom side, and they're just letting the rest of the map exist, and then they group up and have good mechanics and team fights. That, for almost every team, especially when you're in January, will want to be rejected. It'll be, and we've even seen in the interviews, Closer, we're going to be able to play through every lane this year. We're a very versatile team. But I don't think it's bad to not be versatile, honestly.
Yeah.
I think it's very acceptable and sometimes good to have a strong identity, but I do know from what they've said, they're very interested in playing towards other lanes. With that being said, I also think Gwen is kind of fine on weak side as well, so they're still capable of playing through bottom lane if they choose.
Of course, the other thing that every team is very concerned with is winning. So you know what? Whether it's
Yeah.
through all your lanes or just through the bottom lane, as long as it wins, you'll be happy. 100 Thieves, of course, eyes back on defending this title. That is the pressure they have now. Obviously, it's very early. Lock-in is not a determination of who's going to win at the spring split, but they will come back into that split with the expectation by the community and themselves they are going to win again. And that is a lot of pressure on a team, even a team this talented.
Yeah, and one thing I'm going to track as well, once again this game, is Fudge and how quickly he can get to his mythic item, and if he takes advantage of that power spike in lane.
Oh goodness, they're going for it. Ignite's already down, Sven is getting shot. Isles does trade some back onto FBI, but Sven loses that trade at level 1.
Or does he?
Ooh.
Because he has 4 potions and biscuits, and Hui doesn't have Ignite anymore. So I think that's actually totally fine for Sven. They don't burn summoners, and he'll get that health back right away.
Got Fleet as well. the bigger brain, perhaps outsmarting the aggressive instincts of the 100 Thieves 2v2. They'll be very happy in this spot. They're about to ding 2. Definitely have to avoid this particular situation.
That would be the perfect caster. It's like, or it does, and then he dies.
I was going to get thinged up. Oh, I think he was looking for a juke there, but Sven not going to bite.
Oh, wow. Blabber with a 3-camp bot gank, so his whole top side is open, but he might go for this.
I love the mind games here. Oh, Isles going in, looking for the flash. Very nicely placed, but definitely dodged by FBI's flash.
Yeah, that would have been a huge kill for C9. It does mean, though, the Aphelios is flashless, and you always have to see what happens on the return of ganks like that, knowing that red buff, Raptors, Kruggies are all up. And why is Closer going in here?
We got spotted too, just barely, but yeah.
Unless he's going for a dive, he should know all these camps are clear.
We'll see, but
What are you looking for?
I don't know, because if it's jungle camps, got bad news there. He's like, wait a second, what's going on around here? Where are all these camps? I mean, this must be something else. Waiting for crab. I mean, at this point, I guess you're just taking the crab.
I don't get it. He's just sitting there.
He's
Staring at people.
Can someone check? Is he
It must be a dive.
Yeah,
it must be a dive. And he doesn't want to show the tri-brush in case it's warded. They're hoping to stack this wave and go.
Here we are. Closes in. Sven, you have flash, you have cleanse. Good flash. Gets himself out of there.
This is vintage 100 Thieves. And I apologize to Closer. In that case, he was staying up there because that's the least likely spot to be warded.
Right.
And they didn't want to give early knowledge to C9 that gank could be coming. So he didn't decide to punish Blabber, generally because they had no mid or top priority. So any invade in red buff wouldn't necessarily work. And all he's doing is delaying his clear of his own red buff by going for that. But in return, he's almost bailing out FBI a little bit for not having flash. He burns the flash of Sven. Sven loses a whole wave of turret. He's now down in experience and also doesn't have his flash. So bot lane advantage, 400 Thieves.
Yep, and as you said, certainly vintage, but hey, if it ain't broke, no need to fix it there. As we do have TP back from Arba, hanging out with Fudge. He's probably going to come back to his lane whenever he can afford his lost chapter. That's typically the timing Victor wants to look for. But we haven't seen it much yet, but Darshan feeling pretty fine in the 1v1 early on. Graves, very exciting as a top lane pick. Not fully sure of all the matchup spreads just yet, but Darshan's having a great time.
Yeah, will be interesting to see if he goes the Shield Bow build or the Eclipse build. We saw Whippo have a lot of success with the Eclipse Graves build, but the Shield Bow one is definitely the one that is more prolific across the world.
Which one do you like? I like the one that kills people more often, which is usually Eclipse.
This will be a lame answer, but I like the it depends.
Ah, the classic analyst answer.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what the other team's, like, burst is. If they have really low burst, I like the Shield Bow Bloodthirster build because you can possibly, like, infinitely drain tank throughout the game. But if there's multiple squishies on the team, and they theoretically, like, would have enough burst to kill you through Shield Bow anyway, I like the Eclipse build because you still get sustain and you just get more damage.
We're at it again, but this time it's a 3v3. Closer going to be there just in time. Good gravity route there. And now we go in. That looks like a kill on my screen. Sven low and is going to be dead. It's first blood, but they trade it back and forth. It's actually Sven that dies first. So 100 Thieves going to grab that one for Closer, but can anyone get any more kills? It's a big old party. Alcove Gaming. Isles with a great knockup. Blabber finds the Q. Closer though finds the knockup on the other side. And the shields keep on coming, and it's absolute carnage from the supporting crew. But it's only both ADs dead.
How did that Sonic Wave land?
Oh, no!
The minion wave. That's a Corki. That is a Corki.
Oh no, a second AD carry has arrived to the bottom lane. Blabber going to be the target there. He's got flash, so going to be A-OK. Very nicely done to help Isles out, and Arba doesn't have enough to get a kill.
Yeah, actually, ends up being a fairly ineffective roam. That's just going to give Fudge more time to push minions in the mid lane. But this is what we sign up for. Graves, Gwen, you have fun. Corki, Victor, you have fun. Bot lane is where the party's at.
Oh, nice cancel. Sven finding the W there onto Huhi. FBI already back to Cloth. Both ADs back from their recent visits to the fountain.
Wave's in a good spot for FBI as well. It's pretty precarious for Sven to be up this far.
Surely Blabber wouldn't be back again. He's not. He's actually topside jungle, as we know. So Sven probably, using some of that intuition, some of that experience. Feeling all right, but CS in the direction of FBI. Attention certainly been in the direction of the 100 Thieves bottom lane, so see how much more Avadaga and, of course, Closer in particular want to pay towards that side of the map. Because, as you said, it's, island time on the top side. It's almost a tragedy on the blue buff, but Arba saves it with the rocket.
Yep. The jungle item, which has now disappeared because smoked 5 times. No longer burns the blue buff below 1 health, which is a relief to a lot of mid laners.
Certainly so. As Abadarga with that fresh blue buff, trying to poke on to Fudge. Lots of little dodging there, back and forth there, as Fudge's laser doesn't quite connect. But he's feeling all right. Blabber's here in mid lane right now. Isles here as well, actually. Get the tension, there's the kick. Blabber with a very fancy flash around the horn, and that is going to be a kill. Fudge is going to grab it. No, it's Blabber that'll finish it off.
Oh, very nice timing on that gank. Right after a blue buff. It would have been even better if that could have gone over to Victor, because then he could have just taken his blue. But honestly, he's going to be fine with the Lost Chapter and the monoflow band with his early spike to continue shoving that in. Not to mention, that assist gave Fudge the upgrade on his E, so he can just shove forever now.
All right, solo kill incoming, perhaps. Don't think somebody has enough left in the tank. Gonna go for it, though. Darshan forced a flash. Woo!
Red team has slain.
Last little needles miss, and Closer's gonna start the Rift Herald.
Yeah, but does that mean he's taking his eye off bot lane for 1 too many seconds? No, it's fine. Good job.
Blabber was in the area.
Yeah, Blabber was thinking about it. I didn't know the health values. Like, if FBI was at half health, that dive would have happened for sure. But instead, it's just a nice Rift Herald taken by Closer. I think, as we said earlier, usually Rift Herald for Dragon trades early. The Rift Herald teams are going to be very happy.
Yep, and Cloud9 did get the first Drake, picked up the Chem Drake for themselves. Infernal on the menu next, as Darshan looks to be forced back here. Someday starting to get a little bit of leverage here in the 1v1.
That does bring up a very interesting stat, though. That Chemtech Drake, so C9 is now in their 4th game. That is their 14th Dragon. And
Wow.
opponents have 0.
Oh!
So they've had 3 Soul games, 1 Elder Drake, and the first Chem Drake in this one. They have a rather high priority on Drakes so far.
See if that continues, because they're, that's 15 then?
This was 14.
That was 14, okay,
Yeah.
we'll keep count.
But it's still 100%. That's the more impressive stat.
Okay, I just have to watch when 100 Thieves gets on. That's all I need to care about. No more counting for me. It's Fudge and Closer about to do battle. Fudge with a flasher gets out from the gank. Nicely set up by Abadarga.
Simply just a minigame that I'm tracking. But
Oh, yes.
this is going to delay Fudge's Mythic. He really has, like, he's followed really specific, like, recall timers in most of his games. He will recall as soon as he can get Lost Chapter. He will usually get another recall for Blasting Wand. And then as soon as he has enough to Futures Market purchase his Mythic, he'll do that. 2 out of 3 games, that was before 10 minutes. That gank might delay him a good chunk.
Fudge also helping out Blabber there with the jungle. Closer ready with the Rift Herald. Oh, goodness, that would have been a tragedy. Blabber, though, is going to get the red buff. The flag does not steal it, but I like the attempt at a Closer. Darshan shooting down Someday, but oh, that W is just so powerful. That's a smoke screen, excuse me. Someday just dodging out, as now the attention is going to be turned towards top. Darshan is low. Closer's there, Dunkaroonie. Closer slays Darshan, and Blabber just can't do anything about it.
I love that move by 100 Thieves. And it's obviously not scripted, because the game is dynamic and the players definitely play a lot off of instinct. But I believe this is the 3rd game 100 Thieves has spent just like a huge amount pre-7 minutes on ganking bottom lane. Then they will get a Rift Herald, they will kill top, and then they'd actually drop the Herald top. They didn't do it this time. Not completely sure why, because it would have given Gwen maybe the advantage she needs to run over the game. But that's kind of the pattern I've seen with Closer. He puts a ton of resources into bottom early. That buys him time to sneak up top and take the Rift Herald. He gets that 1 turnaround gank on top lane, and then they've snowballed the game in their 2 victories. They haven't quite snowballed it yet. And we'll see if they end up doing a return gank or where that Herald eventually goes.
Yep, just taking stock. It is a lead for 100 Thieves, but not a huge one. Almost up to 1,000 gold, but not quite there just yet. Mythic time for Fudge, not as good as previous attempts, but under 11 minutes at least, as Fudge has already got the
Still
lead in this
faster
campaign.
than every other mid laner in Lock-In.
He's very fast, and Abadarga is feeling the pain of that poke. Every laser that connects is fairly damaging.
Yeah, this should be a big moment in lane to punish the Corki. Obviously, the Mythic timing game, when you play Corki, like, you're just not going to build loses first because you need to stack up the mana immune. But for, like, the next minute and a half, he'll have the wave clear advantage if he wants to. Like, if they have River and he's not too worried about being ganked, which should make it easy for them to set up for the 2nd Dragon. And therefore, they'll be on their way to Soul as is planned.
Certainly is. See, though, Closer with those 2 kills. For that nice bit of pressure top lane, Gold Drink is done. FBI feeling healthy on the CS front. 20 up, actually. Up against Sven, even taking the Kruggies as well. to get some extra money out of those.
Yeah, and a really small thing we can point out too while there's a bit of a lull is because C9 has Graves top, it actually makes Fudge's lane easier. Because if there was an AP champion top, Abadage almost certainly would have gone for Hexdrinker. But he's disincentivized to build Hexdrinker when he's only against one AP in the other team. Just so happens that AP's in his lane, so he just has a harder lane because he doesn't want to spend that gold on Hexdrinker.
Right, and you were mostly right, I would say. The Herald did get dropped top, it just wasn't right after that gank, but somebody's going to get so much gold off of this play. He takes the first tower. All the plates are his. That is huge injection of cash into Gwen's pockets.
I think it was really smart to use that time to go up top. C9 had spent a lot of time getting bought. If they can kill Fudge here,
no
it's
flash,
massive.
easy off for Leona, and Closer just gets his third kill.
That is a big mistake, I think, by Fudge. Knowing that 3 people had just been top, they had a bunch of river control, and they just didn't have the timings. Dying on that timing possibly stops them from getting Drake, but if it doesn't, it's maybe it's fine. Maybe I misspoke.
We'll have to see, but certainly the Drake stat is in peril. You do, in fact, miss 100% of the Drakes you don't take, but you know what? They're starting anyway.
No Leona ult. Abadage can move down from mid, but, I mean, he's recalling and teleporting. He's not going to be back in time.
Yeah, Fudge already TP'd actually to the tower, just running it straight to the Dragon, and C9, clean sheet still there.
Just go. Just get it. How many plays does FBI get off of that? Just one.
Oh, I love this.
Acceptable.
Set up here onto FBI, get the slow Blabber with the tag onto Huhi though. Not what he wanted. Closer also reinforcing alongside Abadaga, so Cloud9 think better of the play.
It's a pretty big gold gap that's opened up though. With these 2 Drakes and the successful turret take by 100 Thieves. Back and forth here.
I did say it was less than 1,000 gold, like 2 minutes ago maybe, and now it's 3,000 shot up there for 100 Thieves after somebody took that tower. He's got the Riftmaker, he's on top of the gold charts right now. It's gonna be an absolute menace for Cloud9 here to try and deal with this Gwen.
Yeah. Closer's also very, very strong at the moment. Geez, this is a really interesting game. It actually feels like the teams are being very, very respectful of the other team's turns. So there's been a couple moments here where I thought like a kill would lead to an objective afterwards, but instead it's actually leading to a reset, and then they'll take their chances afterwards because they don't want to get caught by like overstaying somewhere. That was evident with the first gank top lane where they didn't drop Rift Herald, and then when 100 Thieves ganked mid, but then didn't turn for Dragon, and instead also recalled so they could get back on the map faster. It's very interesting to watch.
Certainly is, but does feel like 100 Thieves starting to mount a bit more pressure here. You can see Blabber's just kind of been forced to farm. Like he's got a decent CS lead up against Closer, but Closer's been busy killing champions. Now going to kill Rift Herald as well.
Yeah, get another Rift Herald, drop in mid, try and continue to break these turrets open.
And Victor without a mid-outer turret. It's a sad time for old Victor. Loves to be able to just sit there and push the waves back towards the enemy, but it may be reversing in the wrong direction for Cloud9 here. As Closer and friends easily take this second Herald here.
Yeah, C9 just everybody resetting. Got to be in a bit of a defensive posture unless Isles and Blabber can find a nice... Jeez, the big one at level 11 Corki. Even without eluding, still chunking Fudge.
Oh, that's nice!
That's it!
Oh, nice! Devil's Fan, what a bait! As he gets the kill on Abadaga.
Jin Rakan right there. It takes one tag from a full-range Victor laser. They land the W, they flash engage. That's beautiful.
And C9 going to need more of that here as they look to stay proactive. Isles no ulti, but he's got Ignite at the ready, sweeping through the enemy jungle. Cloud Rift letting them zoom through a little bit faster. We'll need to take some structures here. There's not a lot of space for Cloud9 to keep that stuff up, but a very nice job to basically lane gank in mid there as FBI trying to turn it back onto Isles.
Yeah, Jin the only champ that can do that. Oh, that makes me so interested for the rest of this game because I've been talking a lot with Emily in the analyst desk about just like the Corki Victor matchup and how a lot of times it's just kind of decided on range, and it seems like once Corki gets Ludens, right, the team with longer range just ends up pushing people off of objectives. But I really want to see if the Jin can flip that because if they can basically make it dangerous for Corki to poke with missiles because they have Jin Rakan threat, it'll flip that matchup a little bit and maybe allow C9 to take space later in the game.
Very nicely aimed Zenith played there for Huhi, but Blabber is more than mobile enough to get away, and there was not enough follow-up there to try and get a kill onto the Cloud9 jungler. Dragon back up in 1 minute and 25 seconds as we keep our eyes back on the Cloud9 Drake stats, but gaining ground here. Around the rest of the map, 100 Thieves FBI is going to take their team's second tower of the game. We said it already, this is definitely a game where there's a lot of respect being shown.
Yeah.
But 100 Thieves, even if it's slow, they are starting to continue building that advantage.
Yeah, they're definitely in the driver's seat right now, even though they are...
But they're obeying the speed limit.
2 dragons down, yeah. It's not a blowout by any means. It just puts a little bit of pressure on C9 to not make any big mistakes because, especially as we approach 20 minutes, the Baron threat will become a lot higher. If they lose the mid turret, then the gold lead could just get out of hand. Right now, it's a manageable difference because you can look across, like let's say the mythic completions and items are basically even, but when 100 Thieves gets to their item spikes and they can hit 2 items before C9, that's when it's going to matter. I mean, as of right now, it looks like we should be pretty even power for this next Drake fight, even though there's a 3,000 gold disadvantage for C9.
Yep. Someday still being a menace, but Darshan's just deflecting it. Has gone shield burst, so at least going to have some durability for the upcoming fight. It is, of course, well past 14 minutes, so TPs can come in wherever you have a convenient locale, and Blabber is trying to find the angle on who he's not the player he wants, though does dodge the incoming Zenith play, but there's that TP I mentioned. Darshan joining the fight early as Cloud9 look to take this Drake.
I mean, let's see how much they just try and burn this versus defending the zone and trying to fight if 100 Thieves walks in.
They're shooting it right now, but the flank is there from Sunday. Gwen is very threatening when she gets in the middle of a team fight.
Yeah, Gwen does have a flank. Darshan's trying to mark Gwen, though, which seems to be effective.
Yep, doing a decent job here. Fudge, though, kind of turning back around. Gwen absorbing a lot of the damage, and now the rest of 100 Thieves go in. Sven, the target. It's going to get locked up forever, and FBI is able to shoot him down. Sunday low, but he's not dead just yet. And him living is an absolute disaster on the Cloud9 side. Fudge is going to die as well, and that is going to be an ace as Darshan is the only one left to die at the hands of Huhi, as Abadag is going to sweep in and steal it. A triple kill for the Corki and the ace for 100 Thieves.
What a gold injection for 100 Thieves and Abadage. Now they are in firm control of this game. That just ended up being a total disaster for Cloud9. So look at this. They were first in River, but they're unable to defend any of their zones. So now it's just a straight eye contact fight, and when someone gets behind C9, they're just looking to fall back and push Someday out. But both their soul laners go for Someday, and C9 isn't far enough back to dodge the closer engage. So that's when it turns into a total disaster. 5-for-0 ace.
Oh, here comes Fudge trying to get Sunday, but I think Sunday might still have a little bit of gas left in the tank. Gets stunned on the edge of the gravity field, but Fudge is getting done. Sunday almost makes it happen, but Fudge gets his revenge.
Just barely. He gets him. Whew. Not sure what Someday was doing in the grot, but he gets punished. Either way, still a 6,500 gold lead. The Drake timer has been pushed from 6 minutes to 12 minutes, or 5 to 10, whatever. And yeah, 100 Thieves is looking like, again, they're going much faster in their driver's seat now towards being first place in this group.
Yep, and they've hit the freeway. Bit of traffic on the way. Finally starting to rev things up. Someday finished Cosmic Drive. We've got 2 items done now for Abadaga as well, who's got his Mythic. Nice and on time there for Korku, of course, wants to get the 10 per second, and even 2 there for FBI as well. So things are looking good across the board here for 100 Thieves. They even stop the potential Drake snowball. So Cloud9 can't even lean on that soul as a potential way to force a fight in their favor.
And what a game it's been from the closer so far. They just have so much power at the moment. They also have the Manamune Luden's spike for Corki. Well on his way to his 3rd item as well, so I mean, he might get to 3 items before Fudge gets to 2, which would be ludicrous.
And this is the kind of game where it's just so hard for Cloud9 to get anything done. They still have 0 towers taken in this game, so it's just, again, we talk about it so much. One of the reasons we talk about the mid-outer tower so much is like, when you don't have access to the areas of the map where you need to be contesting with things like Baron,
I love this.
Can't do anything.
Yeah, I love this. They have a package time, and they have great vision. They have Gwen with teleport advantage, so if C9 steps in, Closer's just going to ult, they're going to TP in and try and clean. If C9 doesn't step in, they just get Baron. They're very aggressive with this force. The disaster would be a steal or too much Jinpo.
Yeah, and they don't even give them that opportunity. I was about to just salute Blabber and say good luck on the 50-50, but 100 Thieves aren't even going to give them that, and that fog is so good! Hoo-hee! Absolute immaculate aim onto Sven, and the Doom Jacuzzi is a little different, but it's still enough to get the kill there. Fudge will turn one back around, but that's not the kill they're after, as Someday TP's in.
Whoa.
And my god, this Gwen rips Cloud9 to shreds!
It's a little bit strong on the Gwen at the moment. Abadage doesn't even have to join. He's going to get 800 gold for himself by killing that top turret. It's good for about 2 kills, actually, in terms of Corky's income.
You know, the KDA maybe not there for Someday this time, but Gwennis the Menace has officially arrived. And they're going to take more towers. They're going to keep Cloud9 shut out in this game as they rocket towards almost 10,000 gold ahead. They're almost at 9. Dragon to fight for another 2 minutes. They can reset for this Baron, and Cloud9 have to start praying at this point, because it's very tough to come back from this spot.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to try some very creative things, whether it's like a double teleport in by Fudge and Darshan, but to do that, they'd have to have like Isles go on some rogue mission to get a ward behind somewhere, since they don't have any of the waves pushed. We'll just watch this one more time. Like, Corky is top here, and Closer's half health, but they're just so geared towards aggression, they just decide to fight. Gwen doesn't even use TP. Someday was just on a timing from top lane, so it was a good time to engage, because it was going to be basically 4v4 with a gold advantage, and that not only gives them the kill, they end up getting mid and top turret off.
And you know, I did ask the question in draft, so I guess I'll answer it for myself. I did ask, was it worth the priority on Gwen for Someday? I'm gonna say yes. Obviously not the game that the champion, not the champion that this game has been played around, especially in the early game, but the investment has paid off after he gets out of that side lane. Had a great looking lane there against Darshan. Had Closer come up to get that nice initial burst of gold from the Rift Out and that first tower and all the plates going down, and it is paying off for the rest of 100 Thieves, and he's not even the strongest champion on the Rift right now.
Yeah, I see 11,000 gold in the pocket of Corky. So
It's a lot.
he's a strong boy.
I would say too much if you're on the Cloud9 side. 100 Thieves side, get that man more paychecks. Corky's expensive. Ooh, Death Dance.
Interesting.
It's a fun one.
Yeah, a good amount. I mean, it's definitely not a bad Corky item.
Are there bad Corky items at this point?
So I think the best Corky fourth item is GM.
Okay.
Arguably third item. And that's just because of the absolutely absurd damage of the package. And if you...
See this one already. He has flash, by the way. It just doesn't matter. I think he's going to die to minions. Oh, he is! Closer had enough burn. Hops up the happy bee as Sven goes back to the fountain.
He's so strong.
Yeah, the 505 J4 is doing all right.
Yeah. Oh, Sven is so sad right now.
Yeah, he was like, I have flash. I'm probably okay, right? And then used flash and still wasn't okay. Feels bad, man.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, look at the FDX Gold Mountain. 100
Yeah.
Thieves just building up the bank.
The chances of a comeback are very low, I would say.
Pinpoint analysis.
Yeah.
Oh, an objective bounty.
The sound of the objective bounty does give hope, though. Whether, like, the gold does not give much hope, but the sound.
The objective bounty sound, that's the sound of hopium.
Yes.
Dragon goes down. It is unfortunately over to 100 Thieves. Cloud9 continue to lose. The objectives are after, and see what happens. Again, there is always fight left in a game, but it's just rough goings right now as 100 Thieves that are starting to... I feel like anytime a team is this far ahead and starts to play like a little more loosely, and not like they're throwing things away, but they know the power of the position of power they're in. And when you can start playing more freely and a bit more recklessly and it still works, that's when you know the game's going in the right direction.
Yeah, like, Closer just 1v1ing an 80 carry that deep into the map.
With a team
Is it necessary? No. Is it fun? Yes.
And, you know, it gets on the highlight reels. Gets you MVP points. As Closer's looking to run the campaign back from finals. Maybe win regular season MVP this time around. Certainly a long way away from that, of course. But 100 Thieves are going to chase Cloud9 out of their jungle because they want to take this Baron.
Yeah, they're really just looking to find a fight rather than flip Baron. There's no need to flip Baron with a 9,000 gold lead. Look at this, though, Isles. This is the miracle attempt.
Lava going to go ahead. Ooh, a little... Ooh, actually, somebody, never mind. Great defensive line there. As Isles now does get sniffed out, is going to have to back away. Still has his ulti, though, but the poke damage is obviously in favor of 100 Thieves. The C9 will be forced back to their base.
Yeah, mid wave, top wave, bot wave, all pushed. No vision for C9 in the Baron area. they're actually out of blue trinkets. They do have that one ward outside, but I don't think that actually sees right now that they're doing Baron.
No, it doesn't. Good call there on that vision. Look at FBI's damage over the wall.
He's
Like
got
the
the right
perfect gun to take this out. And it's just gone. Like, they're waiting as well in case someone's in the area for a steal. They check the area, they see no one's there. The smite goes down, 100 Thieves. They'll crest 10,000 gold ahead as they snag their first Baron of this game.
Beautiful. Now Someday sets up shop in top
Goodbye,
lane.
Darshan. Ooh, maybe not. Actually, it's a 1v spot for Someday. Now going to be interrupted by Closer and who he is. They are going back in. Someday's still alive. Abadaga over the top with the TP. Darshan with the shield bow. Not so immortal now as Abadaga's on a rampage. And Cloud9 just keep getting routed.
Yep, they do.
Do
It's still 5 alive for 100 Thieves. They're a little low on health, but they can go in. Abe, if he had GA, he could have packaged into the base, but he has Death Stance.
If only.
So he packaged away from the base.
Ah, okay. Well, Inhibitor's going to go down, and I think the rest of the base may fall with it.
Red team's inhibitor
Oh, yeah.
has been destroyed.
Backing up again, 100 Thieves. Not overplaying. No need to. I mean, it's fun. Why not play with your 11,500 gold lead?
They want first in the group. Like, I also want to challenge the narrative that some people are spreading, not on the broadcast, I would say.
Absolutely not.
Maybe this is like Reddit or Twitter, that like lock-in doesn't matter, teams don't care about lock-in.
Oh, it matters.
For the standings, obviously it does not. But in terms of like the teams wanting to win, they definitely do.
Yes.
I can say that from competing in lock-in last year with Team Liquid. Like the prize pool being $150,000, which is more than spring or summer, is actually still quite significant. The momentum you build for the start of the year, and just like the reason these guys are pro players is not to make money, it's the competitive fire. And like playing best of series at the start of the year after not playing competitive series for 4 months is just intoxicating. So these guys really do just want to beat up on each other with people watching, because that's why they do this.
Yeah, I mean, it might sound silly, but you talk to any player and they'll say the one thing they love most is winning.
Yeah.
And you know what? You win some money, you win a trophy, it's still winning at the end of the day, even if it's just to kick off a very exciting LCS season. As 100 Thieves look to right the ship after their loss. Cloud9 still putting the pieces together, of course, with kind of split
He's
rosters,
in.
but Closer, he's in there. It's time to make the highlight reel. Put him on the telly, everyone, because Closer's going up again. No deaths. 508. Abadaga's unstoppable. And 100 Thieves are sending a message to everyone here in the LCS that they are back to still claim that second trophy.
Really smooth game by 100 Thieves, trying to erase everyone's memory about their defeat to FlyQuest at the end of last week. That 3-1, because of the head-to-head over Cloud9, will lock them first place in Group A. So they will play fourth place from Group B in the lock-in elimination bracket later. But as you said, Pastry Time, really just a picturesque game from Closer.
Oh, yeah.
Waiting for 20 seconds in the empty blue buff jungle at the start of the game.
Okay.
Good play. It ends up giving FBI that advantage. The timing of his Rift Herald take into top lane ganking, he actually found a way to get every lane ahead, which is just so impossible for most junglers. Never died, bunch of great engages, just beautiful game by 100 Thieves.
And of course, always great support there by Huhi. I know he can play Enchantress, I just hope he never does, because his engage supports are just so much fun to watch. And a very dominant game for 100 Thieves at the end of it all. With that, we are going to be heading over to the State Farm Analyst Desk to break down 100 Thieves' win.
Thank you very much, Pastry Time. It's 100 Thieves who will secure themselves the first seed out of Group A in taking this win over Cloud9. So for those of you at home who go, wait a second, they're tied in record. How is that possible? It's head-to-head, and as it's best of ones, you win that matchup against the team that's challenging you in the standings, and you lock up the 1 seed.
Yeah, and one thing we brought up going into this was that these two teams have had the same exact strength of schedule, right? So it was like, okay, this is a test for both of them. C9 said they hadn't been tested yet. 100 Thieves had the unexpected loss to FlyQuest. I thought this was a great game from 100 Thieves because it showcased a lot of things that have been hallmarks for this team since all of last year, especially with the dives in bot and top.
I mean, how do you evaluate that from the coaching position? We heard Jat talking a little bit about it as well. Jat and Pastry Time, kind of that general early game flow and focus that would result in a Rift Herald, the types of dives that they like to set up. Do you feel like, number one, they're holding true to that, and then two, is that what 2022 is going to support? Is this the way to play League?
Yeah, I think that, Jat really hit that they like to play through bottom lane, and that when they play through FBI, it's when they look the most dangerous. I think the good thing about this game, however, was they were able to translate that pressure very early into getting someday ahead as well. You saw Blabber go for a little bit of a cheesy gank as well in this game. Against Closer, that's always going to be a risk because he just will take the tempo and punish you later. And I think that Closer is a really smart jungler from what I've been able to see. He is able to impact the map, and he is very good at capitalizing on small areas.
We also saw him forced off of that Viego and still performing, and I think that's a good thing to see, right? You're gonna want to fear that Viego, but you have to remind yourselves that there's plenty of picks behind that he's willing to play.
True, it's a lesson to everybody that he can damn well play anything, and so this was just a straight up highlight reel. Not only was he able to get the dive top lane, full clears his jungle, gets the rip show placed down top, then goes for a gank through mid, knowing that he already burned flash on Victor. I thought that Closer had an exceptional performance here, and even kind of talking about queuing into what we talked about really early on, about textbook 100 Thieves looking for dives and being aggressive. They were a step ahead in terms of playing a smarter game, right? When they look for a dive bot lane, if it wasn't too much, they were just, okay, we're just going to deny the minions, back away, right? They got the gank, the dive top lane, didn't immediately look to push Rip Trail. They looked to full clear for Jarvan, and so I liked this look.
I don't really have a great way to get into this clip.
Do it.
Other than reading exactly what's in the teleprompter, which is a quote from Spawn. This doesn't seem important to the game. So if that is the case, Spawn, why are we watching?
That was obviously said very facetiously.
Yeah, sarcasm.
Because it was just so funny. They're like, you want that replay? I'm like, nah.
It doesn't seem that
Can't be that relevant.
But I know one thing that Jat really loves to set up when he talks about Drakes is areas of zone control. And I think that what Gwen gave us in that fight, the ability to control the whole backside of the team fight and take the control mage out of the fight, meant that was always going to be a wipe. And I think that you have to be very conscious of Gwen on your flanks if you are going to set up for a dragon like that.
Someday was so huge this game that, especially in that, just specifically focusing on that team fight, because everyone could look at an amalgamation of plays and be like, yeah, someday. But not only was he pulling Darshan to, mark him on flank, he was also pulling in Victor. He was pulling two people. The moment they see this, it's like, okay, just full on dive. In goes Leona and J4, and they win the fight off of that one. So he pulled in a lot of pressure in that specific moment and had a great game overall.
We were talking previously about Fudge's comfort on Victor in terms of how they did set up for Drake fights previously, right? And how he did use that area of effect. So I thought it was a really good, it's just a smart decision in a team fight anyway to have the Gwen there to zone him out. But that does take away some of the comfort that we've seen from him. And we also didn't see as much focus on making sure that he had the push in mid against the Corki. So he didn't get as much help from Blabber. I remember he got help in the Akali Victor matchup in one of his previous games too. So looking at that mid jungle, a little bit more coordination early as well.
Also, maybe discussion for later. I do remember all the way back to Champions, there was calls for maybe a LeBlanc, a different pick other than the Victor, but sticking to comfort is Fudge in the mid lane so far. For 100 Thieves, they bounced back from a loss last week to lock up that #1 seed here coming out of the lock-in group stage. We're going to join the Tigris and Abadaga for our Verizon post-game interview.
Thank you so much, Dash. Really excited to be joined by 100 Thieves mid laner Abadaga after that victory against Cloud9. The desk was just talking about it, the mid lane matchup, so I want to get your thoughts directly. What was it like playing against Fudge and the strats that C9 were bringing against you?
Yeah, so today coming into the game, I got a bit cocky because in my mind I'm playing against an autofill player. And I looked up Fudge's runes choices and his gameplay in general, and it seemed like he's very passive. So I adapted a bit in the runes, took a more greedy approach that will give me better scaling, and I knew I can even win the lane if I don't even take the best runes for lane. So it felt very good that it worked out.
Yeah, I love hearing about your specific adaptations compared to how your opponent is playing in lane. I know that 100 Thieves is going through a lot of adaptations right now. Closer mentioning not wanting to always have to play through bot, but find ways to play through other lanes. How does that affect you and your development within the context of this squad?
I think it didn't change too much, except that we are also playing more towards top. So for me, it would mean that I'm spending more time topside. But our game play didn't change too much around mid. I'm just doing my job, and right now it's playing control mages because that's the meta, and it doesn't feel much different than last year. But I think we are progressing a lot as a team.
Yeah, it doesn't feel much different from you, but there are some changes in your overall competition. You already called Fudge and autofill mid right here. What mid laner are you looking forward to playing against most in the LCS this season?
I guess I'm looking forward to play against Bjergsen because I used to look up at him a lot and kind of idolize him when I was growing as a player. But those times have passed, and now I'm the king. So we will see if he can come back and take his crown, but I really don't think so.
Looking to outshine him, knock him down from the pedestal in your mind at times fast. Avadaga, thank you so much for the interview, and congratulations again on the win today.
Thanks, GG's.
GG's, everybody. More GG's to come as we get into game number 3 after this break. We have Mortals taking on Team Liquid. See you there.